Welcome to Unpacked, real conversations for diplomatic partners who are ready to unpack more than just boxes. This is the space for the brave questions, the messy middles, and the quiet decision to stop shrinking and start showing up fully. We talk identity, purpose, transitions, and what it really takes to feel at home in a life that's always moving. Because you've always been more than just the label, and this is where we say it out loud. Hi, I'm Emma, and I'm with my co-host, Anna. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Unpacked. And today, I'm very excited to welcome Shaden to our podcast as part of our parenting series. Just before we begin, though, I'm just going to send Anna, unfortunately, isn't here with us today, and she sends us her sincere apologies. We had this recording scheduled, but due to the ongoing issues in the Middle East, she's just very unfortunately just not been able to join us today. But with that being said, we have our lovely guest Shaden, who brings a really unique perspective to our conversation on parenting, and I really can't wait for you to hear her story. Having grown up in the diplomatic lifestyle herself, she now navigates that same world as a diplomatic spouse and parent. She's also an author of a wonderful children's book, which I have here, The Adventures of Adam, the Little Diplomat. And we're really looking forward to hearing everything about Shaden as she takes us through her journey from her own childhood in the diplomatic world to how she has taken her ambitions to become an author, and also how she's raising the young children in this globally minded world that we have to help make sense of their journey. Welcome, Shaden.
Hi, Emma. Hi, thank you for having me. And I really appreciate your time and hosting me on this beautiful podcast.
Yeah, well, we're really excited to have you here. So, if we go back to your childhood first, Shaden, could you tell me a little bit about your lifestyle and which countries you grew up in? Yeah, we'd love to hear everything.
Well, in a nutshell, my childhood was very interesting, and I still live the same life. Although I have tried to escape the moving around part and not being settled in one place, but it was a journey where I have learned a lot, mentally, emotionally, and culturally as well. Overall, with my parents, I've lived in 5 countries. We
Wow.
started in Abu Dhabi, then Libya, Tunisia, Morocco, and my father's final posting was in Australia, where he was a diplomat, and then he was posted back there as an ambassador.
Wow. So
Yeah,
you really have seen lots of different elements of part of the world, different,
yes,
completely different cultures as well, which is fantastic.
it was interesting and beautiful.
Yeah.
Although it was challenging at some parts of it, because of the moving around, changing schools, leaving your friends, packing and unpacking. But as you grow, you learn how to adapt and look at the bright side of it for sure.
Yeah. So you touched then upon a little bit of the difficulties of growing up. What were the benefits then? What did you enjoy the most about moving from one country to another?
I mean, for me personally, I've enjoyed living in coastal cities because in Abu Dhabi it was coastal, Tunisia, Morocco, and then you have Australia with their beautiful beaches and oceans. That was one of the things I really remember about my childhood is spending a lot of time on the beach in summertime and swimming, and it was a part that I've enjoyed the most, uh, as well as learning. Uh, about different cultures, meeting wonderful people. And now I have friends from different parts of the world that I still connect with.
Yeah.
That's also what I try to explain to my little daughter. She's 6 years old. I tell her that one of the best things that you will have is that you will always have friends wherever you go in the world.
Yeah, and that's really lovely because actually a lot of the time when people are embarking on this journey, and I speak to parents, sometimes some of their hesitations are about the fact that their children will move from lots of different schools and from one country to another and move around a lot. But actually, would you say that this is true? And I hope so, otherwise I've been giving some false advice out there. Um, I would imagine that you were also, all of those other people at school are also living a very transient lifestyle and therefore are also used to going around from one country to another, and therefore you have this community where you understand each other so much better.
Absolutely. I mean, from my experience, and everyone's experience is different, but most children usually attend international schools where there is a big expat communities. So the transition from moving from one school and one country to another is that being also put in the same community, so you don't have that strange feeling because you also have friends who come and go, so it makes it a bit more easier for the child's mind to kind of have a better understanding that this is kind of natural because they're in the same community. It's not something that's strange. um,
Yeah.
it's unlike, if they move to a school where um, it's only for locals or people who are not familiar with the international community, and they say, oh, we've been friends since kindergarten and now we're in 10th grade, for example. I never had that privilege. For
Yeah.
me, my friendship has always lasted for 4 years. That's the time of the posting. So, and most of my friends also come from the same community. Yeah,
Yeah.
so it does make it easier, definitely.
And it's so nice to hear actually that you still keep in touch with those friends, and as the world becomes smaller and smaller, I'm sure it's even easier to keep in contact as well. Do you have any like particular favorite countries or any countries that really stood out for you growing up?
Absolutely. I mean, in each country that I've lived in, there were beautiful experiences and beautiful memories as well. But I have one favorite so far, and it's Morocco. Um,
Yeah.
Maybe because I finished my high school there. So, at that age, you have a different kind of friendship and you have a stronger memory of the country rather than when you're at a younger age.
Hmm.
Uh, Also, Australia. I had beautiful memories there just because of the nature in Australia, the things you see around. I mean, one of uh, one of the first memories I encountered in Australia was waking up to a sound of kangaroo passing by in the neighborhood in Canberra. And I remember it was so loud. I got so scared and I woke up. When I looked out of the window, it was just a kangaroo walking
Oh,
around.
wow.
It,
Absolutely
it was,
incredible.
yeah.
So
And
am
now
I, oh, sorry. No, no, carry on.
with my husband, we're in our second posting together. We're in Azerbaijan currently. Uh, Previously, we were in Qatar, and I had my daughter there. My firstborn was delivered in Qatar, so I have the memory of the first baby in Qatar, and yeah. So each country you have specific things that remind you of beautiful things or beautiful memories there.
Yeah, that sounds so beautiful. And when you touched upon it a little bit. So was Australia the last posting that you were on with your parents?
Yes,
And
yes. I
then you mentioned then at that point that you wanted to settle. So what happened to your journey after that?
So after I've completed my university degree in Australia, I remember going to my father and I told him that I have completed my studies now and I choose to go and settle because I'm tired of moving around and not having a decision on where I want to go or live. Uh, and he was understanding. Uh, and right after my graduation, I moved back to Jordan. And a few months after moving there, I started working. And it was also an interesting experience because although I went back to uh, my hometown, um, I didn't really feel completely that I belonged there
Hmm.
because I've never lived within my community, and I had to learn more about the not the culture, but rather than how people deal with each other on a daily basis. The mindset is different.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so it was a different challenge. I mean, although I was going back home, but I didn't really completely feel at home. It took me time to adapt and try and learn how things go there. But
Hmm.
it was a choice that I'm very happy that I got to experience. Mhm.
And when you, I'm just thinking that because a lot of people have that repatriation when they go back, even after doing, maybe two postings and then going back. Were there
Mm.
were there any stark differences in terms of, did you feel like you settled quickly when you were at an international posting, or yeah, did you find it quicker or quicker? Maybe quicker, I don't know if it's the right word, but is it quicker or easier to settle in an international setting or in like, your local town home setting?
Okay, so it was different because I went back to settle down on my own without my parents. So it
Hmm.
was my first experience living alone, without
Yes.
my family with me, without my father and mother to guide me. My siblings, they were not there. So it was challenging in terms of not having my own family with me.
Hmm.
Although I moved back with my grandmother at the time she passed away, but it was a bit of a challenge only because of not having, my dad, my mom, my siblings. Um, Culturally, I was familiar, of
Hmm.
course, with our culture because I
Yeah.
understand it, but the challenge was the mindset. For example, uh, I'll refer to the last posting I was in before moving back to Jordan in Australia. When you walk past someone in the street, you would smile and greet them and say hello, good morning. Although if you don't know the person,
Yeah.
even if you don't know the person, you would still just greet. But in Jordan, if you pass by someone in the streets and you smile and greet them, they would find that a bit strange. You know what I mean? Just the
Yes.
simple things. But in general, adaptation was okay. Because I also made that choice. So I was eager to prove that I can do it and I will be okay. And once I got into my career at the time, um, things were easier because I was busy working and I met new colleagues and I was spending time with the extended family, my grandma, my cousins, and it was good. It was a good experience. A
Yeah.
different but a good experience.
And I bet it was so nice. So was this, would you say that's the longest period of time you've spent with your extended family, obviously consistently for a long amount of time?
Absolutely. Because I settled in Jordan for about 6 years before uh,
Wow.
getting married and moving back
Yes.
to the diplomacy realm. But yes, it was the longest time, and I've learned a lot. Um, I've also learned a lot more about the culture, and I'm glad that I got to experience that time there, so I can also teach my children of uh, what I have learned and what I know. And um, I also got over the feeling of that I need to go back to Jordan and settle. So, because I never experienced it, but since I did, now I feel okay and I feel more positive towards moving around uh,
Yeah.
and not, going back into um, not settling and moving from one country to another. Mhm.
Yeah. So then let's talk a little bit about that time when you met your husband. Were you like, oh no, another
Mhm.
diplomat? Um,
Yeah.
or were you really excited about the prospect of potentially having to move around again?
To be honest, when we met, I was at the peak of my career. I was, starting to become more successful and more known within the company that I was working in. So when we met, um, I kind of paused because I remember telling my father that I don't want to be living this life anymore. And then I fell in love with my husband, and knowing that he's a diplomat, I was in a dilemma of, oh, do I want to go back to that lifestyle? Do I want my kids to be going through what I had in my childhood? Um, but it's going well because with a supportive partner, and when you make a decision um, based on love and support, it's just makes life easier, although
Mhm.
it's not that easy um, living in this kind of career, and with children as well, because um, ah, I lost my words. Emma.
That's okay. I
Yeah,
was I really wanted to ask a little bit because you touched upon it there. You said that you were at the height of your career at that point when you met your husband.
yeah,
How and obviously this is a very condensed version because obviously you then meet your husband and you get to know him before you actually get to marry to him.
absolutely.
Um, but knowing that bit, at some point you've had to then decide, do I give up my career and put my husband's career first?
Mhm.
How did that decision, or how did that the question actually, how did you feel about the question, first of all? Because it's something that, as we know, is really
It,
important to lots of diplomatic spouses.
Absolutely. It's something that I have contemplated for a long time. Uh, and at the time, as I said, I was at the peak of my career. I was, you know, I was successful. I was being recognized, and I was very happy with where I was career-wise. So, taking the decision to resign, leave leave the career that I've loved so much, and support my husband was not a light decision for me,
Hmm.
because I felt that it's a big sacrifice.
Yeah.
Uh, but now looking back, um, it's okay, because with time I've learned that when you start thinking outside of the box and not limit yourself to a career or a job, you could always achieve much more.
Yes.
Mhm.
And this is what's so exciting, isn't it? I think
It
it is
is.
a very, very difficult decision to take, and it's definitely not one to um, take lightly, whether you're going to give up your career, or there's obviously lots of opportunities to explore whether you can continue that career overseas or whether you can move around with that career. But generally, in that first instance when you're making that decision, like you say, you have that professional network and you have that reputation within your own company. And even if you do get a job in somewhere else in a similar field, you're having to what can feel like starting again with your reputation all over again. When you then moved to, I'm right that you moved to Qatar first. Is that right with your husband?
Yeah.
Um,
First
did you try and find a job linked to your previous career at first?
I I did, but because of the rules in Qatar, as you know, there are bilateral agreements when it
Hmm.
comes to spouses working in different countries. Some countries allow it, some countries don't. Um, so I was not able to apply for
Oh no.
jobs.
Okay.
there. It was it was not an option to be working within companies or entities, but when I was there, I was able to do some freelance work in marketing,
Oh,
which helped
great.
me busy for a while. And as I've mentioned earlier, I've had my daughter Aisha cutside, so I was also busy with, motherhood and learning how to navigate being a mom to a newborn. So it was fine, but as I said, once you start thinking out of the box and thinking of ways on how to keep yourself busy, uh, and are productive and creative, you can always find a way. It doesn't necessarily have to be the traditional 9 to 5 job. Uh, you know, there are now many options with online work, freelance work, or even learning a new skill. It's always very helpful to figure out first figuring out what you want, what you love, and what you're good at, and then going from there to learn new things or working on new options for you rather than thinking of, oh no, I need to be working in an office and I have to get in the car, or I have to be at the office, for example, at 9 a.m. every morning. No, you can always do more. You can either continue to study, for example, higher studies, or finding new passion, new hobby, or even partaking in online work as freelancer, depending on the fields you're in.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's amazing what you just described there, because actually what you are actually describing is this feeling of being open-minded and
Mhm.
actually having the creativity. And there are lots of barriers, like you said, whether you've got bilateral agreements or whether you can get the job or not get the job. There's so many different barriers to then getting paid work in this lifestyle. So actually having that open-mindedness and the creativeness to just be like, okay, this is how it is,
Mhm.
um, and I'm going to make the most out of my time rather than beating myself up and being like having to force yourself into a specific role or a specific way of life. It's really, really commendable.
Absolutely. And I always think that it's important for diplomat spouses to have their own time and to kind of find things that they enjoy rather than just being stuck into the role of just the spouse
Hmm.
for their emotional and mental well-being,
Yes.
depending on what they like in life. Everyone is different and everyone has different passions in life. But it's something that um, I think that every spouse should prioritize to find her own self, to always look within and learn more about you and what you like and what you can provide to the world, whether it's volunteering or finding online job, or maybe even applying for companies or entities because some countries allow that,
Hmm.
or getting creative and creating things for the joy of it, and start a career from that as well.
Yeah. And when you started to embark on this
Mhm.
lifestyle, did your own mum give you any advice or guidance about how to make this how to be a successful spouse?
She did, and she always guides me. I always um, go back to her and ask her about certain situations and what should be done and whatnot.
Hmm.
Uh, even when it comes to my children, like if I
Yeah.
have a dilemma with my kids, I call her and I say, "Oh, how did you deal with 4 kids alone?"
Yeah.
Had 4 children, and she was also raising us abroad alone, although there was help, obviously, but it's not like when you have your own community and family around you to support you. And there's a famous saying, it takes a village to raise a child.
Yes.
As an expat wife or a diplomat spouse, you don't really have that privilege. So the load on you is a bit um, it can be overwhelming sometimes, but I do refer to her always, and she's always there to support me. But I always remember how she was when I was a child. She I always remember my mom being very social, and she was always studying. Up to this day, she always takes courses,
Yeah.
whatever she finds, she would just go and learn new things. And I think I learned about, how to navigate in this life just by watching her while I was growing up. How she was always passionate and always positive about this life.
Yeah. So when you started to have your children, and obviously you touched upon it there a little bit about the fact that we don't have the traditional community um inbuilt into expat lifestyle. How did you navigate that when you were in Qatar and obviously had your daughter? Did you, did you start to build your own community, or did you have a virtual community? Yeah, how did that work for you? Give me some advice because obviously this baby is on its way very soon.
Have a very smooth delivery, and you'll have a beautiful child with you very soon.
Yes.
Uh-huh. Um, well, I had my firstborn during COVID time. So
Okay.
other than the challenge of not being around your family, there
Yes.
was lockdown. But luckily, I was able um, to travel and be with my mom at the time after delivering my daughter. 2 weeks before they closed down all the airports, I decided to go and stay with my family, and I've stayed with them for 6 months before returning to Doha.
Oh, great.
Yes, yes. And it was very helpful because, my mom was there, my sisters were with me. So the first few months were very easy. But when I returned to Qatar, I was alone again with my baby. Obviously, my husband is at work.
Yeah.
Um, so um, it was challenging because I was alone. It was my first child. I still didn't know how to deal with children. You learn with them.
Yes.
You learn parenting from them because every child is different. But thankfully, I had a good community of friends there. And they were always very supportive, always checking in and asking if I need any help, or if they can, support me in anything. So that made it easier. So definitely having a community around you, although it's not your family, but meeting people and building good relationship with them does help, when you know when you're having a children, for you to just meet up with people and go out, and even for children, when there are other kids their age, they can also play together. So that's
Yeah.
what made it easier for me.
Wonderful. And if we then start to think about this transition that you've made to reinvent yourself as a author, it's so exciting. And when I first saw your book, I was like, this is just fantastic because there is nothing on the market like this. And I was reading it ahead of our interview, and also thinking about this would be great for future baby when they arrive. And it's just such a wonderful book. So well done and congratulations. I really enjoyed
Later.
it,
Thank you
and
so much.
I'd really recommend everyone go and buy it because if you have, especially if you have young children, I actually learnt a lot.
Oh,
I actually thought about childhood, like, being a diplomat and a child and what that entails. It gave me an entire new perspective.
Oh,
So thank you so much for using your creativity and your passion to really show it. And I hope that there will be another book and there'll be a series. So
it
no
brings
pressure,
me so much
Shaden.
joy. It brings me so much joy hearing that from you. I really appreciate it, and I'm really glad for your kind words and praise. And I'm really happy to hear your feedback. Um, it just makes me happy that my purpose was fulfilled to spreading the knowledge of diplomacy for children.
Hmm.
The story started when I always refer to my daughter. I have two children. Aisha is 6 and Hashim is 3.
Oh, so
But
cute.
at Aisha's age, yes, thank you so much. At Aisha's age, it's when children usually start to have a lot of questions and they bombard you with hundreds of questions every day. And they sometimes make you pause and think. Um, so she asked me, what does dad do? Like, what's his job? And why are we living in Azerbaijan and not living in Jordan with the rest of our family? So I said, um, dad is a diplomat. She said, what does that mean? Because at their age, they only know, doctors, policemen, engineers.
Yes.
The career of diplomacy, unfortunately, has not been recognized enough for,
Yeah.
for younger children. Um, and because of all of her question, I have done a lot of research because I was looking for a book to explain diplomacy for her and for children at her age, and I couldn't find any. There are many books for teenagers about diplomacy and adults, obviously, but none for children.
Mm.
So I decided maybe we can work on something, and I decided to start writing um, what I know about diplomacy, and I wanted to make it as universal as possible. Um, and it worked out. It was really fun creating it, and I also met an illustrator here in Azerbaijan, Alia. She did a wonderful job in illustrating the character and the theme.
Hmm.
And it was published in December 2024. And since then,
Congratulations.
it's been really, really successful. I have participated in many book signing events at schools and at libraries. And it's really rewarding because, you meet a lot of children and they're all passionate about learning new things. And I'm happy that I was able to publish a book about this beautiful career um, that's usually underestimated by so many people. And yeah, that's the story of how the book was published.
Yeah, and I guess your biggest critic is your daughter. What does she think of the book?
She loves it. And
Yeah.
her favorite part is the last few pages. The Amazon copy is different than the published copy
Hmm.
here. She really likes this page of all the flags of the world. We usually sit
Yeah.
together and we talk about the flags, and she tries to memorize them and
Wow.
asks me about each country and what's there and what's their language. And yeah, so she really likes the story. And because also she can relate to it,
Hmm.
that she says goodbye to her family and friends and then moves to a new country where she doesn't understand the language, or in the future, even if she goes to a country that's the language is familiar for her, but the environment is different. So
Hmm.
she really enjoys it. And it's not only for diplomat children. Emma, also expat kids in general can relate to this book because
Yes.
yeah, not only um, in the field of diplomacy, we only face the challenge of being abroad and being in a different culture and being in a different community. Many other expats face that, whether they're working in private sector or different government entities. But I hope many more people can read it and relate to it, and it just brings a lot of joy for me to know that people are happy with it.
Yeah. And did you find how did you bring yourself to have the courage to go to create a book? Because when you, like what you said before, having that open-mindedness to try different passions and different hobbies and different things like that, that is it takes a lot of courage and a lot of bravery to put yourself out there and to learn new things. But to
Mhm.
take yourself into a completely different career where you're having to learn a whole new market,
Yeah.
um, and to completely reinvent yourself is a whole new level of bravery and courage.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Yeah. Well, Emma, I've always been passionate about writing. It was, and it still is my way of unwinding and therapy. Um, it's something that I have always enjoyed,
Hmm.
but I never really thought of publishing what I write. Um, for this book, after the conversation with my daughter, she was a passion for me and the motivation for me to just publish it because I wanted her to have a copy of what I needed to explain to her and to tell her about diplomacy. Um, I wasn't very confident, to be honest with you, in the beginning because I had no background in publishing. Neither did I know anyone personally that has, published children's book that can help me through this process, guide me or, give me advice on what to do and what not. So um, I had to do all the work by myself. After finishing the illustrations with Alia, I started to look for publishers, and through one of my friends here, as I said, community is important wherever you go. She's Azerbaijani,
Hmm.
Layla. She guided me through, the steps that I need to know. She's a lawyer, by the way, um, and she said you need to do one, two, three, and you can go to this publishing house and they will be able to help out, especially that I am not a local, not from the community. And she referred me to um, the publishing house that can help out, um, an expat like me to publish their book, and it was successful.
Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
in terms of like your entire journey, is this where you see yourself going now, continuing to publish books, or are you feeling like you have another reinvention in your pocket somewhere?
I would love to. I would love to continue in that path, but uh, as I said, in our life, nothing is guaranteed. So I still have another year and a half here in Azerbaijan. Uh, I don't know if in my next posting I would be able to, publish again. But my next step is to publish Adam in Jordan, hopefully in Arabic. And
Yeah.
translate it into other languages and um, you know spreading the book into the world more, because I find it a very beautiful story, not because I wrote it, but because so many people can relate to it, and so many children at young age really need to have that feeling of comfort that it's not only you who's moving around. There are so many others, and this is normal. And the way we can neutralize these things for children is through um, books and videos and cartoons. Yeah,
Yeah. And
yeah,
I love that because, we talk so much about community and relationships and how important they are to our well-being. So
absolutely.
actually, seeing that the book is actually creating a further community for such young children is actually a really powerful thing that you're doing, Shaden. So I just really, really well done, and I can only imagine the hurdles that you've had to take and the perseverance and your determination to make the book a reality. You know, there's one thing creating an idea and making a print just for yourself. There's a whole other thing publishing and having to deal with contracts and all of those things, especially doing that whilst you've been in Baku. You know, I just think it's just incredible.
Thank
So
you.
really,
Thank
really
you.
well done.
I
Um,
truly appreciate your words. Thank you so much.
no,
You've really made my day with your beautiful words and beautiful energy, Emma. Thank you.
no, thank you so much, and it's been such a pleasure to have you on our show, Shaden, and thank you for sharing your story. And it's so nice that to hear that you've been through this lifestyle as a child. You've then decided, no, I want to settle, and now it's on the reverse where actually you see the whole benefits, and I think that that in itself is so powerful, isn't it? For not only for yourself, but for other people that even though this lifestyle brings so many challenges
Absolutely.
and the moving, the transitions, the friendships, ultimately when you were then later given a choice to stay or to move around, you still took the opportunity to do it. And many people might not do that, and that's absolutely fine. But it's amazing to have that and to know actually that this is a lifestyle that you went into fully informed, knew exactly what it was going to entail, and still chose it. And not only that, then taking it upon yourself to make it the best experience that you possibly can for yourself. So yes, thank you so much for
Thank you.
sharing.
Thank you, Emma. And I wish you all the best as well in this journey because you yourself are going through it. And
Yes.
I really appreciate having me on this podcast. I hope many people will benefit from these conversations. And you're doing an amazing job yourself as well by, spreading knowledge and helping out other people in this community to enjoy this life and look at the positive perspective of it rather than um, falling into the negative sides of being, alone or in a strange community or, not having any any positivity in it. But I really appreciate your time and your efforts and congratulations on your pregnancy again.
Oh, thank you.
So excited for you, and I really hope you have a beautiful motherhood journey. And hopefully, um, people will like this podcast and find it that useful. Thank you so much, my dear.
No, thank you so much. And if I mean, we mentioned there a little bit up that you can get the book from Amazon. Is there anywhere else that you can buy the book for our listeners?
Uh, yes, it's available in Liberaf in Azerbaijan. It's a
Hmm.
bookstore, and they have many branches, but it's on Amazon and here in Azerbaijan in the bookstores.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Shaden. And if you want to share any of your details at all, if anyone wants to get in contact.
Absolutely, it's fine. My Instagram page, people can connect with me there, and I would love to meet more people in this community, hopefully to support each other.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'll pop that into the show notes too for everybody. And as always, you can find me at The Zesty Life. And if you want to get in contact with Anna, who is, again, I'll send her a big apologies. She's at Not Just the Spouse. And we will look forward to seeing you next time on Unpacked. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Shaden. Have a good day.
Bye-bye. You
Bye
too. Thank
bye.
you. Bye bye.